All right, good morning, class. This should be the August 17th percussion class video, okay? If you're my music appreciation or the winds, you're in the wrong video, so just go find your right video, please. Um, today, uh, today we're going to be reviewing over a lot of things, adding some new things, okay? Um, as your responsibility as a seventh grade percussion, and for my responsibility as getting you ready for high school band, there's a lot we got to dive deep into some more stuff, complex stuff. Okay, for my high school percussion, this should be almost kind of like review for some of you, maybe new learning for the others. Okay, so first I need you to go ahead and get out this sheet, okay, your treble clef worksheet. Go ahead and get this out. We're going to be adding some new. We're going to be reviewing over the old notes that we've already learned, and we're also going to be adding in some notes. Okay, so we're doing both reviewing and adding. Okay, so if you remember, okay, our 5 lines. Every good boy does fine. Okay, if you can remember the saying, every good boy does fine. Then you've got it. E, G, B, D, F. Okay, so you should already have this written on your paper. Okay, so I'm just going to write it in real quick. E, G, B, D, F. You should already, like I said, you should already have that written on your paper, okay? And then we also remember put a face in the space, okay? I like to just say face equals space, okay? It's easier than saying put a face in the space, but face equals space, okay? So I'm gonna put F in that bottom space, A, C, E, okay? Now you should have this already written down, okay? You should, okay? What we're going to do today is we're actually going to add 3 notes, okay? 3 notes above the staff and below the staff, okay? It's very typical as a mallet percussionist to be able to read above at least 3 ledger lines above and 3 ledger lines below, and we're going to get there eventually. But for right now, we're just going to start with 1 ledger line above and below, okay? We're just going to add 1 note or 3 notes, okay? So go ahead and draw you a ledger line above and a ledger line below. Okay. You all see that? Yeah. So draw your ledger line above and your ledger line below. Okay. And so if you remember our musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it just starts over every time we get to G. What should come after F in our musical alphabet? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G comes after F in our musical alphabet, so we're going to put G on this top space. Okay, the space above the top line is G. All right, then what do we do after G? We start over. The next line, okay, that first ledger line should be A. All right, and then that next space going up 1 more letter should be B. All right, so the new notes that we've added on top are G, A, B. Just making sure y'all can see it. Okay. Now, the other hand, we're going down now, okay? So, in our musical alphabet, what comes before E? Think. Okay, what comes before E in the alphabet? You should be saying D. Okay? So that space below the staff is going to be D. All right? And then what? What comes before D? C. Out to the side, okay? Out to the side or somewhere, you need to write down that the C right here, it's called middle C. Okay, it doesn't matter where you write it. You don't even have to write it all the way out. You can put MC as middle C. Okay, this is middle C. Okay, or we call it C4 or C4. All right, we call it either middle C or C4 because that's what we constitute as middle C. Okay. Middle C. And then below middle C, if we go back 1 more letter, what comes before C? B. Okay? So those bottom 3 notes that the new 3 bottom notes that we've taught today is the D, C, B. Now, the reason we call this middle C, if I was to write out the bass clef, okay, we don't know the bass clef that well, but if I was to write out the bass clef, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and I put this first ledger line right here, okay? Bass clef, that's an ugly bass clef, okay? But if I was to put a ledger line between the treble clef and between the treble clef and bass clef, you will have 1 ledger line that connects both of them, okay? As we go down, okay, as we go down from here, these ledger lines actually represents lines in the bass clef staff. Okay, let me say that again. These ledger lines, as we go down, okay, you listening? As we go down, the ledger lines actually represent lines in the bass clef staff. So if you've ever seen a piano score, it has a piano score usually has both treble and bass clef, okay, but in it, and there's only one ledger line that actually separates them, okay, and this one ledger line is what we call C, okay, that or middle C, okay. So when I tell you that this middle C over here and this middle C are the same, okay, that means they're the same, okay. But I just want you, not that that's important, I just want you to know that's why we call it middle C, okay? Middle C separates the bass and treble clef from each other, okay? All right, so if you have that written down, you should have that written down, go ahead and get out your note naming sheet for the day, okay? It should be note naming worksheet number 3. Okay, it should be note naming sheet number 3. So note naming sheet number 3. I want you to real quick, okay, do that first line, okay. If anytime you need to pause the video, just pause the video, okay. It's obviously I'm going at a different pace because I don't have students in front of me to slow me down. So if you need to pause this video at all, make sure you pause it, okay. All right, so by now you should have that first line done. I only want you to do the first line. If you went on, I guess that's okay. I can't really stop you, but okay. So let's look at that first line. Okay, that first note on that first line is one ledger line space above. Okay, so we look right here. If you can see that, let me give this a side. Okay, that first one is one ledger line above the staff. Okay, so what does that tell me? Okay. Well, if I have it written down, it tells me that it's A. Okay, if you don't have it written down, pick a note that you know on this staff. Okay, just say I know F. Okay, off the top of my head, I know that the top line is F. Okay, so I'm just going to go F, up one space, G, up one ledger line, A. Okay, now if you have it written down like you should have already been like, oh yeah, that's just A, easy peasy. Okay, all right, that second one sits on that top space, or that top line, okay, top line, it should be F. That third one in that top line sits on the bottom line, okay, E. The third one should be E because it sits on that bottom line. All right, the fourth one, it sits on the very top of the staff, okay. I call this the top of the staff, I call this the bottom of the staff. Or the staff. I don't call these spaces really, okay. Because they're not in the staff. I call it on top of the staff, on bottom of the staff, okay? And then I call this one ledger line above, one ledger line above, or below, okay? And then this is just ledger line above, or below, ledger line above, okay? So that fourth one sits on the top of the staff, okay? So we got G. Number 5 sits on that third space, F-A-C. So that fifth one should be C, and the last one sits on the middle line, okay? B. Remember, B will always be on the middle line, okay? B will always be on the middle line. All right? Let's see. Let's go ahead and do line number 2. Line number 2, real quick, okay? I'm gonna pause the video real quick for my sake. Just go ahead and do line number 2 real quick. All right, so by now you should have done line number 2, okay? All right, let's start on that first one on line number 2, okay? So that first one sits on the bottom line E. The second one goes down, or goes below the staff, okay? Space below the staff, okay? One space below the staff, okay? So we got D. Number 3 sits on that second line, so it should be G, okay? Now that fourth one goes one space below the first ledger line. One space below the first bottom ledger line, okay? So you should have B on number 4, okay? You should have B on number 4. That 5 one sits on top of the staff, G. And then that last one sits on that bottom line, E, okay? Easy peasy, okay? I want to do one more at least. Okay, one more at least. Um, let's go ahead and do line number 3. Okay, do ahead line number 3. All right, line number 3, easy peasy. Okay. The first one sits on the middle line. Okay, so middle line B. All right, then the second one sits on the bottom of the staff, D. The third one we got G. The fourth one sits on the space below the first ledger line, so we got B. Oh nope, I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. Oops, I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong one. We're supposed to be on line number 3, so that first one's B. The second one sits on the top space, so E. The third one sits on that first ledger line below the staff, so C. And then we got the fourth line, D. And then the fifth one is on that first ledger line below the staff again, C. And then the last one sits on that bottom space, F. Okay. All right. So I'm doing this from my phone, so this is why this is able to be moved. Okay. And so as you can see, we're going to move through notes a little bit faster, okay? Learning notes is not as hard as learning rhythm, so we'll spend a lot more time on rhythm, especially since y'all are percussionists and you need to know rhythmic-based stuff more than you need to know notes, but still, the notes need to be learned because you never know when you'll have to play a mallet part, okay? So make sure you're keeping up with this, doing your homework, okay? The rest of that note naming sheet will be part of the homework for the night if you're looking at a lesson plan for August 17th, okay? This is only part 1 of the video, so go find part 2.